You are listening to a Called Collective podcast where we seek to equip the next generation of ministry leaders. The Called Collective produces multiple podcasts, which you can find in the description below. To learn more about the Called Collective, visit our website at thecalledcollective.org or check us out on Instagram at The Called Collective.
Hi, welcome to Coffee and Calling. This is Levi.
And I'm Paula.
We have some very special guests with an S.
Plural. Yes.
We have guests.
We're switching it up.
We're switching it up.
Yes. Adding more people to the pod.
The more the merrier.
Stew.
It's great. Yeah, the stew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you guys tell us your names, what you guys do, what your majors are, do you have jobs? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
What you up to?
Okay. Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Brayden Cromwell. I'm a major in Christian ministries, hopefully to carry that over into a sports minister role in the future. Right now, me and Gabby both sit on the board for a nonprofit called Compass down the road, and they just started opening worship services and outreach for college students, so that's been a big blessing and fun to be a part of.
Yep, I'm Gabby Cromwell, so we're married, not siblings.
What?
But
Thank
yeah,
you for the distinction.
Do people
Yes.
think that sometimes?
Yes.
Oh gosh, that's
What?
awful.
on our visit, someone was like, "Oh, I thought you were his sister."
It's our videographer.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
It was pretty
wild.
funny,
So
though.
awkward.
It was
That's
so
tough.
funny. I was like, "That's right." But yeah, so I'm a sports ministry major and kind of just want to work with athletes and really just help them find their identity in Christ. And then, like Brayden said, I sit on the board of Compass Ministries, and we kind of just really help them out with events and then just college student outreach. So that's kind of like our job while we're in school. So yeah.
Super fun.
Very cool. We were just talking before the episode got started, but they're from Montana, which is quite a bit away from Indiana.
That's true.
Love it. And we just found out they grew up 8 hours apart from each other. So our question for you today is,
What a love story.
yeah, how'd you guys
For
meet?
real.
You go first.
Okay, yeah.
Go for it.
I actually first heard of Gabby over a news station.
What?
Yeah, we were at
It's the only form of social media
Oh.
in Montana.
no, for real. We were at our divisional basketball tournament, and they streamed her story, her testimony, over the news because of a bunch of medical things she went through. And then a month later, after I first heard of her, she signed to the school that I committed to play football at. So that's kind of how we got in contact with each other.
Mm.
And then over the summer, we just hung out a little bit. And
How does that work? You guys are 8 hours apart.
Brayden made the trek
I
up
went
to
out
see
of my
me.
way to see her.
Wow.
If he wanted to, he would.
He would.
Yeah.
He would.
Yep.
Hey.
Wow.
Yep,
Yeah.
I actually reached out to Brayden first too.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, he's pretty cute." I was like, "All right." So I reached out to him, and then we kind of became. I wouldn't say we were friends. I think we always had interest there, but so we kind of just hung out through the summer, got to know each other, and then within our first month of being at college, then he asked me out, and that's when we started dating. So
Wow.
Hey.
That's
Yep.
awesome. That's so cool.
yep, he made the trek 8 hours.
That's
Wow.
wild.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, dude.
It was. Paid off.
Paid off.
That's
So why'd you guys
funny.
decide to go to Indiana Wesleyan University?
Ooh. That's a long story, so I'll try to shorten it up. So going into my sophomore year, Gabby had a bunch of medical stuff that she had to go through. So I transferred schools to that was closer to home for her, just so I could be there for her. And I started to get plugged into the church more and started serving more, and then started getting this call to ministry. But I still wanted no part of ministry. I was studying agronomy, was going to be an agronomist, and was solely focused on that. But the Lord just kept showing up in ways he's calling me to ministry. So I met with our home pastor back in Bozeman, and he knows Eddie actually.
Wow.
So he recommended for us to get married, come here, get uncomfortable, and figure life out together.
Wow.
So
It was pretty crazy. Actually,
Yeah.
one of our first dates was church, and Brayden actually cried at that first church service that we were at together.
Wow.
What were you thinking?
I had no idea how to cover him. I was
I mean,
like,
it was either like this guy's really deep or this guy's really weird.
yeah. I was like, maybe he's just never. I knew he said he had grown up like Lutheran, so I knew he had gone to a church that was radically different than the
Right.
church I attended.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it was during worship, and I was like,
Wow.
I look over at him, and he's tearing up, and I'm like, oh, do I put my, I'm like maybe keep my hands to myself?
And this is like the first date too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
first date,
Yeah.
super embarrassed thinking we're never gonna hang out again.
Oh no.
I thought it was pretty sweet. So, but I did a residency there right when Brayden was a sophomore in college, and that was where I kind of figured that I wanted to go into ministry, and so I was perfectly fine just doing online school and then working through the church. But then once Brayden kind of came in and was like, I feel the call to ministry, he was just like, all right, both of you've been in Montana your whole life. And so he was just like, Brayden, do you love her? And he's like, well, yeah. And he's like, then what are you waiting for? And he's
Wow.
like,
Dang.
Yeah.
he's like, just if you know you want to marry her, and then up and move 1,500 miles away.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, but that was the best decision we've made. So,
Wow. That's a word for some of y'all out there with y'all commitment issues.
if you love her, just do it. Put a ring on her.
That's one of the most
That's
I
good.
will. People at I will do not need that.
No,
We've got
they
enough of
don't.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
calm
too
down.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you have the tough conversations
Pace.
first.
Yeah.
Pace. Yeah.
So
Oh,
fun.
goodness.
So fun.
So you guys have like obviously both of you were separately called. How do you see now that you're married, or maybe even not? Like, are your callings like becoming more intertwined? Do you guys still have things that you want to do separately? How does that look for you guys?
I'd say they're intertwined now. Originally, they were completely separate.
Mhm.
I thought I was being called to more of like a head pastor role.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I got here, I was like, no, that's not me. That's not what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so then I started getting into the call of sports ministry. And over the course of the last year, like God's just been opening up doors and doors
Wow.
for that and making it more clear. And that's what she was originally called to do.
Yeah, I was originally called. So after I went through a bunch of my medical stuff, I just figured, and this is when I went through my medical stuff, I had already committed my life to Christ and had a pretty firm foundation built on that. And so it was just crazy to see how a lot of athletes aren't given very many opportunities. At least I saw this in Montana, where your sports did not make up who you were. So in Montana, it was a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of just athletes would really pour themselves into their sports, and then it would, be taken away by an injury, or, you're not good enough to go on to college, or even just a multitude of things. And
Yeah.
so I just saw a lot of athletes really struggle in that area and fall into a lot of terrible situations due to that, because they just pour their heart and soul into this, and then it's taken away. So my whole thing was I really wanted to help athletes put their identity in something concrete that doesn't crumble. And so that's when I thought of the ministry of like one day at a time athletes. And when I met Brayden, he was not going to be involved in that, like in the sense of like immediately.
Yeah.
But then once we moved here, we kind of had the idea that we wanted to co-work that together and just really be teammates in that. And so that's kind of where he's switched from being like, in the church head pastor to like sports ministry stuff. But he also has a calling to be a chaplain too. So that's something that's a little bit different than per se what I want to do. So
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can. I just like really have a heart for sports and athletes, and just like helping them find their true identity in Christ, and like helping them take all the discipline and like work ethic they put in their sport into like in a relationship with Christ. And I think that can just be like a very powerful tool for athletes to have, like just a mentor that will pour into them and love them for who they are
Yeah.
and meet them with where they're at. So that's kind of like the big thing with me of like wanting to be a chaplain and step into that role someday in the future.
Yeah.
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Speak to why its identity is such an important peace, specifically in sports? Why is identity the big crisis when it comes to sports?
I think it's kind of like has to do with like what Gabby was saying. Like you're putting all your time and effort into this one thing, and like whether it's an injury or like your last game ever, like knowing you can't advance, like it feels like it's just taken from you, and then you can just feel lost, like you're in this valley and you don't know what to do next. And like speaking with like guys who've graduated college, like they said they've gone through difficult times of like got addicted to like drugs or other things, like relationships failed because they didn't know where to go next and who to like seek out. And I think just like helping them find Christ is a big role into like them stepping into faith, and then also just helping them pursue those relationships outside of their sport.
Yeah. It's really good.
Do you guys feel like it's a lot different here in like Indiana, like basketball culture? It's basketball state, and so there's just like a lot more, like people just pay more attention here, or is there a difference?
Yeah, I would say Montana, the biggest difference was the community. Everyone just knew everybody, it seemed like. Like, when I went through my medical stuff, like, the whole state knew what I was going through.
Wow.
So it was just a lot of, like, you know, you go into a town, and Brayden can attest to this, even being from a town with a graduating class of 18, you drive through a town and you know somebody there who you literally know them well enough to be able to, like, stop at their house and spend the night if you need it, or call them for help if you're in that town. So it was just, the culture there was a lot like athletes were just treated differently because that's like just a lot of Montana. That's all you really did was you played sports. And so you grew a lot of relationships through that. And so, and I'm sure the same is similar here. We've seen, you know, just through kind of getting to know people in the community and knowing it's a basketball community, it's definitely held to a very high standard for sure. So, and that's been cool. We actually looked to see how much it would be to go watch like the state tournament for basketball, and it was insane. I was like, holy cow, it's like going to a pro game.
Yeah, 100%.
So I can imagine that the pressure that those guys feel, I mean, every season, every day and the competition here is a lot higher because there's a lot more people. Like at my school, the first couple of years, we didn't cut anybody on the team. Like we kept everyone. So it was just a different culture in that sense that it maybe wasn't as competitive as here.
Yeah.
So I think the whole identity thing is crazy because we noticed that, you know, like Brayden said, you just put so much time into this. But, you know, when we put our time and our energy and we put our identity in something with a foundation that doesn't stand firm, then as soon as it gets taken away, it crumbles and we have no idea how to like view life anymore after that or what our purpose may be after that.
Right.
So like Brayden said, taking athletes and showing them what other passions God's put on their heart and how they can take that same desire that they've had for their sport for so long and maybe the same disciplines and just like the time management and use that in ways to take out into the real world with other passions that God's laid on their heart.
Yeah.
So other purposes.
Yeah. Do you guys want to get into like the origin story of just your ministry call? How did you know that God was calling you into full-time vocational ministry?
Yeah. For me, I kind of touched on it earlier, but it was like this sense of like, I felt like there was a call there, but I tried running from it every single time. Like originally, I was going to school for elementary ed. And then as I started to get more involved in the church and ended up transferring schools, it was agronomy, just because I didn't want to work with kids.
What's agronomy?
It's like study of crops. It's like crop science, basically.
I was definitely going to act like I do at that.
Okay, perfect.
It's pretty cool. They make quite a bit of money actually.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's basically like a field biologist, crop scientist type of thing. So that's what I was doing. And as I started to get more involved in the church and take more opportunities up with that and serve more, I like this calling was strong. Like I felt like I could finally could not stop running from it. So I finally did something about it and met up with my pastor and talked to him. And he's like, yeah, I feel like you're getting this call to ministry. And I feel like when I accepted that, I've never felt so much more peace in my life. And I think that's kind of that was the big moment that I knew. And obviously he took me in and discipled me a little bit and gave me books to read to help assure my calling. But everything's just lined up since then, and God's made it perfectly clear that I'm at the place I need to be right now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me it was, so I was just one of those athletes that put her entire identity into a sport, and that was basketball. And once I went through my medical stuff my junior year of high school, which took me away from school and then my sport. And so in that it was crazy too, because I had just committed my life to Christ right before I went down this rabbit hole of this medical journey. And I got baptized like a week after it happened.
Wow.
And then I got the diagnosis that I had a vascular disease where they were now treating it as they were trying to save my leg. So it was pretty crazy because I had just committed my life to Christ, and I was like, I still wanted to selfishly live into my own plan and goals that I had set for my life. I wanted to be a physical therapist, and then I wanted to play basketball as long as I could. So, and I thought that was God's calling on my life, but it was still just kind of a selfish desire of mine. And so it wasn't until after I got my diagnosis, went through my surgeries, and started rehab that I was just like, maybe this isn't what God wants for me. And so, I worked with a PT who was really amazing. He actually has a really, really great relationship with Christ. And so he poured into me through the rehab process of just getting me to relearn how to walk properly and just function normally again and get back to being active, even if that didn't mean basketball.
Yeah.
And by God's miracle power, like I made it back to basketball my senior year to play in the end of the season. And I played well enough to land a scholarship. And that's where I signed to play basketball, where Brayden was playing football. And I was like there for a month, and it was so painful, and just the like time management of like rehab and PT and then basketball stuff and school, it was just way too much. And so I sat in my car one night and I was just crying, and I was like, God, if you don't want basketball, take it away. And literally that next practice, I started getting symptoms in my left leg. And so I went home, and they had told me that it had progressed to the left side, and then I would have to go through all the same surgeries.
Wow.
So that was like my big like aha moment of, okay, God doesn't want me here doing this. And so what does that look like now? And so that's when I started getting my call to ministry, because I was just like, I'm passionate about athletes, and I don't think that's what God was taking away. I think he was wanting me to view it in a different lens. So once I figured that out, it was very freeing, and it didn't happen right away. It was a lot of like wrestling with God, but FCA, like Fellowship of Christian Athletes, has always been a huge part of my story of coming to Christ. And so that was like when I saw how they could take sports and faith and integrate that together and pour into people, I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to focus a little bit more on the injured athlete side of things. So that was like how I got my call.
You were talking about how, both of you guys, like the Lord took your passions and the things that you were like running after, and he didn't like strip you away of being able to take part in that, but it's just in a different way. What is your advice to students who like have these huge passions, but they don't feel like the Lord is allowing them to do that? And like, how did you navigate that, being like, well, I can't do what I've always wanted to do, but he's letting me see it differently? How do you navigate that? What would you say about that?
Yeah, for me, it was a lot of like stepping out of my own, just my selfishness of like, I wanted to hang on to it in the same lens I always had seen it, and that was as an athlete. But there was always so much more to the passion than, just waking up, putting in the work, and then playing a game and reaching my goals and all that stuff. Like, I think a lot of people's passions have so many different viewpoints to it and so many different areas that God can use you in miraculous ways. And like, considering an athlete, like, there's the coaching, you can be a PT and AT, there's tons of things you can do in the sports world. But it was definitely an adjustment to move from athlete to now. Even just like, I wasn't even becoming a coach or anything. It was just straight up ministry now, which is really hard to do with athletes sometimes, especially in public schools. It's not like you can walk into a public school and start, talking about faith and stuff.
Right.
But it was a lot of just, I was learning who God was at the same time as I was learning what his plan was for my life. And so my advice would be that just to understand that God puts passions and desires on our hearts, but we still have to bring those to his feet every day.
Wow, yeah.
And I think it was a lot of just like dying to myself daily and what I wanted out of it, and stepping out of the way of what he wanted in that, and trusting that he put these passions and God-driven goals and desires on my heart, and if they were focused on him, then he was going to lead me exactly where I needed to go, and that was going to bring fulfillment and joy.
Yeah.
So
That's a word.
I
think a lot of it's just like trusting in his plan and just being patient in that and just like watching God be God. Like the last like year, I like, you know, like I was expecting like to play this year and everything and got cut short because of a major hip surgery. But like, I think now I have a bigger role in the sense of like helping guys navigate like faith than I ever would have if I wouldn't have gone through this surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And like to me, like it's been like hard to like swallow that. But like looking back, I know like that's gonna be a huge blessing. So I think like just taking in like what you're going through and taking passions that you're passionate about and using them to glorify God in the right ways. And like looking back in the future, you'll see like, wow, like I'm glad I took this step in obedience to the Lord and like seeing how he blessed me in ways that I could have never done myself.
Wow. That's good. I don't know. I feel like we all oftentimes hear about our passions, and I feel like I hear all the time from pastors, like, the Lord gave you your passions for a reason, like, go pursue them, go do it.
Yeah.
But then what you guys are talking about, like, laying down your passions, like dying to yourself. Of course, the Lord wants to use those passions, but, like, sometimes they really are in ways that we don't expect and don't even want.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that does suck.
Yeah.
But then, like you were saying, it's the most fulfilling thing ever.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because they're passions that's given by God. Like we have desires. We were created in the image of God, and God has desires. Therefore, if we're made in the image of God, we too have desires. The only difference is our desires point inward.
Yeah.
And he wants us to take those same desires that you have, those same passions, and just make them outward. Don't make them selfish. Make them about me. Make them about other people. So it's really beautiful just how you guys have gone through that progression and really experienced the ups and downs of your calling, and it's really great to hear.
And I think as well with those is that, like, you can't make your inward, like you were saying, like your passions point inward. You can't make them point outward without the help of the Lord. And I think for me, at least, there's been so many times where like, I'm so passionate about this, like I will find a way to make the Lord glorify through this.
Yeah.
But you can't. Like, it's
Yeah.
not up to you. It's up to like submission. It's up to laying your life down daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once like heard this, I don't know where I heard it, but it was like offering up your letter of resignation with God every day. Like whatever you're doing, even if it's ministry, like offering that up to God, like, okay, like if today's the last day you want me to do this and you want me to head in another direction, like here's my letter of resignation.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
leaving it in his hands and just obediently walking in that.
Wow. Dang.
I think that was a pastor back home.
Yeah, I'm
that
pretty
said
sure it
that.
was.
Yeah.
So,
Offered up his resignation before every time he spoke at church.
yep.
Wow.
Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool picture. What would you guys say has been the hardest part of being called into ministry, and that you think maybe some other people are going through that same thing? If there's any doubts or temptations that you see with the call of ministry that would help our listeners out.
Right now, like the biggest thing I'm struggling with is not feeling like worthy enough, and that makes me like lack confidence in what I'm saying. And I think that's just like the enemy trying to attack us.
100%.
He's trying not to let us see our worth in God. And for me, like that's been a real struggle over this last year. Is like more opportunities have come up to go speak. A lot of times I lack confidence in myself and doubt myself. And it's just something that I'm honestly still wrestling through and still praying about. And yeah, I mean, that's my thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was even just like the idea of what other people were going to think. Like, especially in Montana, like everybody knows everything. So when I went from, basketball player to I want to be a PT, and then it was like, oh, now I'm going to go into ministry, and people were like, whoa, like what, like what's that? So, and I grew up where it was just like, same with Brayden, we didn't know there was so many different jobs in the ministry world. Like,
Yeah.
we thought it was like, oh, you're head pastor, and then
That's it for me.
the youth pastors. Yeah. So I didn't know, all how you could do the Lord's work in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just like people are going to say things and they're going to act like they know, your calling, or they're going to, unintentionally even say things that discourage you. And some people obviously intentionally, but it's just about knowing God's voice in those and quieting the noise and the chaos and being able to really find his voice in that to assure you that you are stepping in obedience and you are right. And it's so cliche to say, but like the enemy does attack those that, are doing the Lord's work and who are going to be used in big ways. And so that's a good reminder to know when you're going through spiritual warfare or tough times or doubt or fear or temptation, that that's the enemy attacking you. And that's not because you're not called to something or whatever the case may be, but rather this is just a test of your faith and obedience and God's call for your life. And sometimes it's self-inflicted and sometimes not, but I think it's just about discerning God's voice in that chaos and really listening to his call to obedience. So
yeah.
I think I saw a quote once. I was like, if nothing's coming against you, you're probably not doing the Lord's will. Like the devil is so happy with you just doing what you want to do, and like if he's not attacking you, then you're not
doing the right thing. Yeah. I have the same thing as you, Brayden, where it's like, I doubt that I'm worthy of the call. I doubt that I'm good enough. And there's probably a few years that I went where it was just like, I just dealt with those and I didn't know how to. I just kind of like continued on. And then I got to a point where it was actually more comforting, because the more dangerous posture I've experienced is, oh, I can do it. I can do this. I have the abilities. I have the skill. I'm good. Like I feel completely confident in my own abilities that I can do the Lord's work. Completely more dangerous than I can't do this on my own.
Totally.
And so every time where I'm like, there's no way, I'm like not good enough at this. I can't speak very well. I'm not as, clever as other speakers, or I'm not as personable as other ministers. It's like, good. That means you have to rely on God. And that's the only time that you're actually going to do something meaningful. And so if God called you to something that you're scared to do, it's probably because he wanted you to do something without your own ability, and he wanted you to do it with him. And it would just be stupid for God to call you to something that you could do on your own. That's actually the opposite of what he wants to do. He just wants to make you put yourself in positions where you have to rely on him and you have to have a dependency on him. Otherwise, it's like you can go do something else on your own. You completely can do it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do what God has called you to do you need God to do it.
Yeah.
So it's uncomfortably comforting.
That's a word.
Yeah.
That's good.
100%. We do this last segment every time we do Coffee and Calling. Our viewers and listeners are used to it. We like to do some words of affirmation and encouragement to our guests. And so I can go first. I'll speak on Brayden. Brayden, you are 100% one of the most loyal people I've ever met. You are just committed to whatever you have in front of you. And you're going to give your 100%. You are a sacrificial person. You're a selfless person. Me and Brayden play football together, and I just see it in the locker room, in the weight room, on the practice field. I mean, you've been out for a while, and you haven't been disengaged. A lot of guys would think that, man, this thing is about me, and I can't do anything, so what should I do? That's the opposite of what you thought. You thought, this is an unfortunate circumstance, but I can still serve. It doesn't mean I still can't have an impact. And so I look up to you, dude. You're the best. Like, you're an awesome teammate. You're an awesome husband. It's just cool seeing you around, and appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Gabby, obviously we don't know each other too well, but from what I've seen, you are somebody who the way you walk and the way you live is a testimony to everyone. And you are also somebody who is so influential that people know about you and they know your testimony and they're encouraged by it. And you don't even have to like talk to a person. You don't even have to like know their name, but people are encouraged by your presence and by your loyalty to the Lord and by your strong faith. And I think that your wisdom and your just like care of seeking after the will of the Lord is something that so many people can learn from, and just how much you want to see the Lord glorified in your work and how willing you are to lay down your life for him. And that's just something that is very obvious in what you do, and people know it, and it's just amazing. And so I think you're an amazing person. I think you're going to do amazing things, and I'm really, really excited for both of you and how the Lord's going to use you and do all your sports stuff, and it's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for being on.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks
been
for
awesome.
having us.
Of course.
Yeah.
We will be back with you next week with another. Actually, we won't. It's gonna be Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving.
We ain't gonna see y'all. Don't listen to us. Do something else. Hang out with your family. Eat some turkey.
Yeah.
We'll probably see you the week after. So
Yeah.
thanks for listening. We love our guests. We love our
You too.
viewers as
Our
well.
listeners.
Yes.
Viewers. All right. Thank you guys. See ya.
Deuces.
We'd also like to take a second to thank the School of Theology and Ministry at Indiana Wesleyan University for using their facilities. We want to thank the Call Collective for producing all of our podcasts. The Call Collective seeks to equip the next generation of ministry leaders. To find out more information, visit thecalledcollective.org or check us out on Instagram @thecalledcollective. Thanks for listening again and taking time in your day to have the chance to be formed by the conversations we have over coffee. See you guys next week.